Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren play members of an experimental military strike force in Universal Soldier.
It's nothing robotic like some movies where a guy that like half human, half machine. It's pure 100% pure beef.
I think right now we're spending a lot of money on weapons, high-tech weapons, and maybe the next step is to try to start redesigning the human being who's behind the weapon.
They use them as the perfect ultimate soldier, but they have the same kind of spirit for freedom than the Frankenstein monster has.
The Unisouls are about to be revealed as the final word in high-tech weaponry when something goes terribly wrong.
I get involved because I'm a reporter, play Veronica Roberts, and I sneak in to try to get some pictures and see what's going on, and I get caught.
When ordered to kill Veronica, long-buried emotions explode to the surface, pitting one super soldier against the other.
And then we're off and running.
Traitor.
Actually, this is great.
Wow, that's great.
It's not safe for you here.
Where are your clothes?
I have to cool down.
Jean-Claude is perfect for this role because the character is not your standard action superhero. It's a character that has to show a great deal of vulnerability.
There must be a tracking device on me.
Well, what do you want me to do about it?
Look for something unusual. Something hard.
He's going to protect the lady, the female reporter, in some situation, but sometimes he'll need her like a baby.
I'm sort of the catalyst that gets him to think about his human side. You know, he does things he doesn't know why he does them, and I start to ask questions and pull him out. What the hell did they do to you?
I don't know. But I'm going to find out.
She's helping me, 50-50. It's like a team effort.
We were acting.
Ali Walker, she's a very special lady. Very charming, full of charm. Always happy on the set, no matter what.
You guys should see my body. I mean, without clothes, it's pretty scary. Let me tell you, I am black and blue from about here to here. It's not fun, it's not pretty, you know?
Follow me.
I really enjoy it. I mean, I really get into it. It's funny because I didn't think I would. It's just juiced. You're constantly going. You know, you just jam, jam, jam because of it. So it's kind of nice, actually. It's fun.
Dolph is a great villain. I mean, I think he really is creating the kind of character that's really original and fresh.
I think any action movie is only as good as its villain. That's always true. You can be more theatrical, you can be a little crazier, you can really play a juicy character.
The two of them, both in stature, physical presence, they play off each other fantastic. They've gotten along just great on the picture.
Hey, Dolph, look at there. He's always late. Always come late on the set. You know, I mean, this is not good.
Really?
He has to learn.
Who's this?
Huh?
Are you an extra?
The renegade soldier's epic battle is enhanced by the capabilities of the Unisol truck, a portable laboratory, command center, and arsenal.
Well, obviously, if you take a guy who's a pretty mad guy, crazy, you give him, what, a 100-foot truck full of high-tech weapons and let him loose somewhere, you know, you're going to have a lot of fun situations for people to deal with.
Vic Armstrong, second unit director and stunt coordinator, designed some extraordinary action sequences, taking full advantage of the Universal Soldier's incredible strength and abilities.
I think a good action picture always has to have a reason for the action happening. I hate going to cinema myself and just seeing action for the sake of it.
Also, there's a lot of humor kind of built in the story, so there's a contrast between action, brutality, and fun.
Just want to eat.
For 3 months, the cast and crew braved the dangers of desert shooting, where temperatures reached a scorching 115 degrees.
Especially on the dry lake bed that we worked on, we had plumes of dust going 200 or 300 feet in the air from these trucks. And of course, when the wind's wrong, the whole crew eat it, cameras and everything.
But by far, the most intense location was Hoover Dam, where the filmmakers created a never-before-attempted action sequence.
The stunts we do involve scaling down the wall of the dam, which is about 700 and some feet.
You know, rappelling has been done a lot, but we did this Australian style, as we call it, which is facing forwards.
Action!
And it looks as though guys are just running down there, which, you know, gives it a different look. And some of the wide shots, you suddenly get the perspective and the scale of the whole thing when you see the dam so vast and 2 little fly specks coming down, and then you zoom in or cut in closer as you, whatever you want. That'll be very spectacular.
In itself, that's an amazing feat for anybody to do. And I think people are going to be tuned into this because they've never seen it before.
It's really one of these films where everything comes together, you know. It's in every scene, there's special effects, big machines, planes, helicopters.
Big toys.
A lot of big toys.
Big toys for grown-up boys.
Yep.
It's a great movie. Super fit soldier, resuscitated from the past.
The movie was over the top. Big guys, big guns, big trucks, fantastic stuff.
They called it a mini Terminator.
Muscle, action, explosion. People like to see that.
In those days, it was kind of the Wild West. You could get away with almost anything.
I'm alive.
It was 1991, actually, and I think I just got the script. It was called Crystal Nights, the first version. It wasn't that great, but, you know, my agent and my lawyer, they said, oh, you know, there's this other actor, Jean-Claude Van Damme, who I'd kind of heard of. You know, he was like a kind of a younger action guy at the time.
Mario Casar sent me that script, and then Emmerich came from Germany.
Roland came on board. Dean was the writing partner of Roland, and he had a different take. They rewrote the script, and now the script became better now.
It was a Kuroko days. Mario Casar wanted us to do Universal Soldier.
Mario Casar, well, you know, he was the king, you know. I mean, he had all the stars, all the big directors.
Well, Kuroko at the time had been making one hit right after another, and it had become this place that filmmakers really liked to work because not only did you get paid more, but you had a lot more creative freedom. And they had a series of successful films. I mean, they had probably the best run of hits of independent movie companies ever.
From Angel Heart to Basic Instinct to Total Recall, Terminator, Rambo.
He liked the big, spectacular Hollywood epics, really. That was his style. And it worked for our movie, because that's what we were.
Do you want to play catch?
Came just from Germany, and I was like kind of 9 months in the country. Now, I had like some inkling about what it is. I roughly also knew the concept, but I had to really ask, you know, who are the actors in it? And he said to me, like, kind of, oh, it's with Dolph Lundgren and Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I said, I know Dolph Lundgren, but who is Jean-Claude Van Damme? You know, it's how naive I was, you know? And he was like totally against it. He said like, you cannot do this movie. And then I said like, you know what? It's a chance to do a movie. You know, we have like $20 million. So let's do a movie, you know, let's be adult about these things. And then we had like really fun, right? Making this movie.
It's another, you know, Hollywood story. You have these two guys, you know, one guy from Germany made a small movie, Moon 44, and Dean, who's a young writer, come to Hollywood, and they end up directing me, Jean-Claude, in their first picture.
Well, what happened is I went out and I rented all of Jean-Claude's movies and Dolph's movies, and we did like a little movie marathon. And we started to get a little stumped creatively, and I said to Roland, so how do we open a movie with these two guys? And Roland said as a joke, well, we kill them. But then that actually sparked a really cool idea, and then we started thinking about it and thought, hey, well, actually, it'd be interesting to kill your two leads in the first scene. And then that really started the whole idea of them being zombies, and it grew from that.
I think the whole Vietnam thing came with Roland, the whole background, which I really liked. And the fact that they'd both been fighting for their country, and You know, they both were killed in action.
The Vietnam scene was more like a convenient way to kill two people.
It was really to show that there had been this animosity between them in their lives, and that when they start to wake up from their kind of semi-zombie state, that antagonism returned.
Roland Emmerich, he was a very cool guy, I remember. He listens a lot. He gave the actors a lot of freedom. We had a real vision of the visuals of the picture. All the production design, the costumes.
Nice outfit.
The lighting, the atmosphere, the rain, the wind machines, the look of the picture. He really knew what kind of look he was after.
Oh, he's a very, very serious, good director. He's a very imaginative director. He's got his own vision, and he like those sci-fi pieces.
The positions is perfect, you know. The whole thing has to go fast.
And also I thought he was quite impressive in the way he conducted himself on the set, because he's very low-key and he's very, very pleasant, you know, very non-threatening. You never felt like, you know, you were afraid of them because they were your bosses or anything. You felt like you could talk to them, and they were very down-to-earth, open to new ideas.
The type of guy, you take a movie in his hand, you can relax. And that's good for an actor, because then you can concentrate on your character.
Give me your best shot.
It was great. I was there, and I was no rehearsal. I was into the loop. Acting was cool. I was like this. You asked me to do so. If you ask me to, you like me, I like you. Cut. Move on. Neutral. You know, I was really cool. In Vietnam, I was a man who was sent to fight for something. We came back alive for a program, and suddenly that guy flashback what he was in the past. It's not really much to talk about a character, you know, just a guy who was just a mummy to kill.
He physically had done some amazing things, so we knew that we could put him in any kind of physical situation and be fine. The question is, we didn't really know what the acting chops were. And I gotta tell you, that it was, I think, the biggest surprise during the shoot, is that emotionally as an actor, he was very available.
So many things are missing.
First time I met Jean-Claude, I think up at Coralco, I liked him, nice guy, martial artist, very youthful, very, very spontaneous.
Can somebody show me how to swim?
Lots of energy, lots of ideas about his career, a very smart guy with himself and his career.
At that time, he was like really the new guy on the block. The biggest guy was still Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. I have to give it to him. He has a certain quality, you know. There's like some innocence about him.
What the hell did they do to you?
I don't know.
It was like very good for the part, because we needed somebody who, in a way, is reborn and in a way has to learn everything again. I think Jean-Claude has a much more feeling who he is and doesn't take himself too serious.
What'd I say, jump? You say how high?
I played Sergeant Scott, who was a Vietnam veteran, you know, good soldier, but he'd gone psycho. He'd been out there in the jungle too long.
They wouldn't listen.
He was very professional and approached this in a very serious way, considering it was an action karate movie.
Traitor.
And in fact, he even had his acting coach on the set working with him. He desperately wanted to be good in this film.
Oh yeah, I went into all of that, the psyche, the backstory, what had happened to him, the 50 questions, all this stuff. Then, of course, when you get a little older, you realize, you don't really need a lot of that. I guess I was a victim of the over-preparation at the time. But I mean, I think the result was pretty good at times.
I kick ass who kiss ass, and I'm busting heads.
I wanted to give him kind of a sick sense of humor.
Sergeant Scott, could I have a word with you?
I'm all ears. He's emotional, but he's kind of having fun doing this stuff instead of being just evil. Because then there would just be one note. It wouldn't be so much fun to play, and it wouldn't be so much fun for the audience. Images of, for instance, Jack Palance and Shane, you know, when he's like taking his gloves off, speaking to Shane, you know, so like that kind of thing where you take your time, because if you're doing something evil, then people are watching you, and you can really suck them in that way.
Any questions?
Well, at that point, people remembered him most from the Rocky movie. He had a very different background than Jean-Claude. I mean, he had actually been a world-class fighter. I mean, he was thought to be the next world champion. But he also had this incongruity in that he was quite brilliant. He was from MIT. He was really intelligent.
To me, it was a pleasure to work with Dolph, because they told me you're gonna work with Dolph, it's gonna be the boom, 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 you know, him and Rocky and Stallone. When I saw Dolph, I didn't have any problem, because he was my friend, we helped each other. He's a cool guy, and everybody was cool on the set.
It was day one of the shoot, the first scene in the movie, and that was the first scene we shot. And I haven't really gotten to know Jean-Claude that well. And, you know, we have this confrontation, and of course, you know, we haven't rehearsed this either. I've rehearsed it with other actors. And then we had this little mini fight, and that's when, you know, we got a little tense there. I could tell everybody's watching, like, oh, what the hell's gonna happen now? It kind of broke the ice between us. Of course, we do have make contact in that fight. And everything worked out fine, so after that, everybody was kind of relaxed.
You're traded too, aren't you? I'm on board. Prove it.
Dolph is a big guy, and I'm also a big guy, you know? So when a big guy touch a big guy and the other big guy get nervous, the big guy hands go crazy. But I mean, it was good kick. I want Dolph to hit me good. I asked him. So all this we choreograph, we talk together, and when we start to touch each other, we start to feel each other, it's like everything go fluid. 13. What I like about this movie, it was like a competition in a sense. When you see all those strong guys in the film, they all go to the gym. So we want to keep in shape.
They were like kind of so busy, like kind of like Dolph and him, you know, like kind of checking each other out.
Hey, Dolph, look at there. He's always late. Always come late on the set. You know, I mean, this is not good.
Really?
He has to learn.
Who's this?
It was a little bit like this. Sometimes when we like kind of shot, it was like who pumps up first. I was not aware of that when you're like a bodybuilder or whatever, that you have to pump yourself up. It's like kind of like some air pump, you know?
There's a big gym in a trailer, 2 trailers of gym equipment that we kind of worked out with.
And when you didn't time to dry it, you could not shoot because then the other guy had to pump up. It was like very complicated.
Yeah, there was a little competition going on there, who could bench the most.
It's kid stuff. We're gonna try to go, and because we have to look good, but I was in that mood because I didn't know acting, so I was in that physical mood of showing the best I can to the audience.
Where are your clothes?
What's nudity mean, like to show your butts? Yeah, I'm sure I show my butt all over the place. I mean, in movies.
It was like really one of his trademarks. We really wanted to please his audience. We studied his movies very carefully, and we realized there's certain things in every movie. In every movie, he drops his clothes.
Oh, come on, man, not this again, huh?
So we like kind of did this, some say like very homoerotic shot behind, craning up his butt.
The funny thing was that day, even though he had always done these kind of shots in other movies, he gets nervous when he has to shoot it. As we went to set up that shot, he looks over his shoulder and he says to Walter, our cameraman, he says, "Is my butt in focus?"
I said, Jean-Claude, we're professionals. We know what we're doing. We get your butt in focus.
They say I can put a walnut and I can crack a walnut with my butt by squeezing my cheeks.
Where are you from, anyway? Are you from France or Canada or... I mean, I figured you gotta be French or something because of your accent.
What accent?
When we were originally conceiving the character, the idea was that they were kind of reborn as these reanimated soldiers. On one of the first scenes, the accent was a real problem because it sounded more like, "You have to stop 50 feet behind the line of the limit." And then suddenly Roland came over and said, "Dean, you have to make this shorter." So I shortened it down and said, "Well, you have to stop at every stop sign. You have to stop at every... shorter." So in the movie, it's, "I have to stop." And that became kind of an ongoing theme where we started taking more and more of that kind of verbose dialogue and making it shorter and shorter. And it actually got much funnier that way, especially during the fight scene. He just wants to be left alone. He just wants to eat his lunch, and these guys are bothering him. And he just turns and goes,
"I just want to eat."
And that was probably one of the funniest lines of the movie.
Well, we hired a really good stunt coordinator, Vic Armstrong. I mean, he's like kind of famous in that business. He pretty much took care of it. I always like kind of told him what I wanted roughly, and then he worked it out with these guys.
You like that, boy? Roland was very good. He'd let Vic do a lot of his stuff himself. He wouldn't interfere too much, which is great, because Vic really knows how to make those things good.
We had very limited budget. So what we did a lot of like stunts which were not very expensive but very spectacular. The first one was when they rappelled down the Hoover Dam. Everybody always said like it's impossible to shoot there, and somewhat like we made it happen.
The Hoover Dam sequence was a great sequence. I mean, even by today's standards, it's very good because you actually have real people moving down the dam. It's not CGI. Like, these are real guys.
Going down forward, it's special techniques, and then the stunt cut there. On the arrival, the actors took place, and we crack heads and kick butt.
The big bus chase, that took a couple of weeks, I think.
Jesus Christ, he's coming right for us.
I know we discussed forever the chase sequence with the Unisol truck,
Yeah.
like chasing the bus. That was like kind of a big deal for us at that time.
There was a lot of second unit stuff. Some things were on stage in LA. Some things were in in Nevada and on the dry riverbed.
Are we having fun yet?
It's very tedious, and you're hanging there doing it, a million times, throwing grenades, firing the gun. Of course, you get a good tan because it's, the middle of the desert. Yeah, it is the Grand Canyon. It's pretty deep, Yeah, we're right on the edge. The gas station, yeah, it disintegrated. I mean, it was a real gas station 1 second, and next it's just a hole. That was huge. That was a good explosion by any means.
I felt heat, it's far away, but you feel like a wave of heat.
I'm gonna bust your head, punk.
I don't want to hurt you.
That fight scene when I eat the popcorn and the way I fight, because I've got great flexibility, so I can stay like this and kick a guy, and I look abnormal. When you kick and you make an effort, you make like, it's look like a human doing it, like, When you go kick, you go, baff, and you stay, and it's like that, and then your popcorn, you look like like a toy.
You're dead, soldier.
No, I'm alive.
The final climax of the picture was partially rehearsed and partially was just come up with by me and Jean-Claude on the spot. Some of the moves didn't work because of the rain and because of location. Also, we wanted to add some special stuff. We actually went back for 2 weeks and reshot stuff and added moves to the fight because it was a little too short, people felt, in the first version. Yeah, Jean-Claude had his, signature spin kicks and jump kicks. I kind of felt that. I wanted to show some brute strength, kind of throwing him through walls and things of this nature. It's a nice balance of styles there, I think.
You're discharged, Sarge.
Universal Soldier, well, it defines an era. It's when I met my wife. It's when I got into my own a little bit as an actor because I was challenged with a role where I was trying to do something with it beyond the obvious. It's a good memory of working with Jean-Claude and Roland Emmerich and of the good old 90s.
We had a great time making it. I think we got an enormous amount on the screen for very little money. And I think the film holds up pretty well. I mean, I'm always surprised that the jokes still work, that the essential structure of it still works. And I definitely think it's Jean-Claude's best film.
That movie did have a big impact on my career, on everything. It felt good because my lawyer told me at the time, and he said, you'll see if a guy like you can go into a studio picture, look like, DP-wise, lighting-wise, special effect, truck, Grand Canyon, USA look, you will be a movie star. So I did my best, I play what I was asking to play, and after that, I took off to big numbers.
The movie was really successful. And then naturally they kind of threw all kinds of other projects at us, and we decided to do our own movie, which we had written already and was called Stargate. And we all of a sudden had like a sleeper hit, and everybody said, oh, now you can do this, now you can do that. And we kind of said, no, we're doing now our next script, and everybody was rolling their eyes, and that was Independence Day.
When you look at the lighting of that film, the freshness of the concept, the clothing, that special truck, it's one of my best movies. Entertaining, it's Van Damme in his young age, having fun, and with all those guys, it's a great film.
I must follow orders.
Just can't walk away, do you hear me?
I grew up in Belgium, and I was always dreaming of becoming a movie star, right? I was not very gifted physically, so I was the skinny guy in school. But I was not a trouble kid. I was an okay kid.
Well, I grew up in Sweden, you know, northern part of Sweden, a small village. But I was sent up there by my parents on, you know, because I was a bad boy in school when I was about 14.
I saw the TV and it was like a Western or a cowboy or whatever. And then I go on the sofa where you sit down, but I go to the back and I sit like this, you know, and I go, yeah, when I was on the TV. So I was crazy. I was a kid. I was dreaming.
Well, I think the man in Sweden at that time was definitely Clint Eastwood. Was a big. He was a big star, especially up in the northern villages of Sweden where everybody's, you know, got rifles.
Understand something. Belgium, it's not like Los Angeles. LA, when I land, I saw all those lights, like a huge pancake of light. I go, wow, this is fantastic. It's Blade Runner. Here we go down. Belgium, you land, it's nothing. It's like, I don't know about Oklahoma, but it's like a village. So I was depressed. I put myself into comic book, the Tintin, the Marvel comics, and I was dreaming about that. And then I decided to go to a gym, but when I go to the gym, I'm impressed because you see all those big guys that drop the weight. So I did go there like a kid. I became the kid of the gym, you know? And my father saw one day a TV show, the Kung Fu one, you know, with David Carradine, the Kung Fu TV show. And people in Europe, when they saw that show, they saw the philosophy of it, the protection. So he was thinking about me being alone, coming from school at the age of 11, 12, you never know. So he took me to a karate school because of that TV show.
I was about 13, 14, and I was a kind of a scrawny kid. It's the old story, it's true, but you know, that's the way it was. I was short and I was had a bit of asthma, and I couldn't really do sports that well. So when I grew out of it, you know, and got a little stronger, I was looking for something that was different. A friend of mine did some judo, so I tried to take up judo for a while, but I remember I ended up with a big fat guy on top of me trying to choke me, and I said, Jesus, you know, guy hadn't taken a shower for a couple of weeks, I think, and I said, well, maybe I should try karate. At least you're a bit further away from your opponent. So I took up karate, and I was about 14.
Because karate, whatever, martial art is a weapon of the mind. I was training there as that small kid, but I felt every time I punched, wow, I felt like power. I felt like a conduction with the eye, with the mind. And I was able to break boards. I mean, at the age of 15, 16, clack!
I was doing a lot of training, a lot of martial arts training at the time when I was about 19, 20. So I did, you know, I was training about 4 or 5 hours a day and competing a lot.
You do karate for 2-3 years, non-stop. 5 days a week. I was going from school, and then I ran to the karate school, and I did karate school. I did karate, but it was always the same routine with big, tall guys, and I was the skinny guy, so I was obligated to stretch to be able to reach those guys because they always push me around. So I decided to go to dance, ballet, to stretch, and also to have fun because it was lots of beautiful girls there. I mean, they were like fantastic. I mean, you talk about a woman with grace, the shoulder down, beautiful legs, split left and right. You see all those long legs going in the air. So I was like attracted by the beauty of the movement. So I combined everything with karate, dance, and weights. And that made me what I am today.
I finally ended up competing for Sweden and fighting in Japan and Australia and here in London. All over the world, really. I did pretty well. You know, I did end up winning the national title and the European heavyweight title and Australian heavyweight titles. And then, because my dad was a chemical engineer, my older brother was a chemical engineer, I ended up studying chemical engineering in college. I was interested in movies, but I kind of ended up going the academic route.
I was very young when I fought competition, 16, 15, and you go. It's called like Coupe des Espoirs, the trophy of the hope. And all Belgium is coming. It's a 3-day competition where you have to wait around the 3 tatamis.
and there's like 1,000. It's like it just says like 1,000, 500, I got 500. It's 250, 125, and you go to the top. That was my first trophy. But I was very happy because I made 8 or 9 fights in 3 days, which is a lot. So when I came to the States, I came as a guy doing karate. I didn't speak English well, and I didn't know anybody. And the first time I was in the airport and the gate opened, I saw that limousine coming by with 2 wheels in the back. And I go, this is my country, and that's America, it's a great country.
What happened was I got a scholarship to Washington State University. I went there for a year. From there I went back to Sweden, started doing chemical engineering, and finally got my master's in chemical engineering. 1 year was in Australia at the University of Sydney. So I was spent a year there on a scholarship. So from there, from Sydney, I was going to go to MIT in Boston. I had a scholarship there, a Fulbright scholarship. And I came to New York, about as far as New York, and of course, there's always a woman involved. And I met this girl, fell in love with her. She lived in New York. She was a singer. And sort of through her, I got into the entertainment business. I kind of got to see what it was like. And when I, took a look at that, I had 6 months off before starting MIT, and I said, I don't know about these test tubes. That's kind of boring in one way. I think maybe I should try something different.
It was very hard for 5 years because I didn't know anybody, and I was chasing producer, actors. I was sleeping here, sleeping there, using that room, this room. And suddenly a guy saw me. After a few meetings, I came to his office, and I waited for hours. I was hearing that guy making deals. He was not talking too much about the story of the movie, but more like a date and a this and a that. And his partner too, it was like Yoram and Menachem. So I did go to his office and I present a product. I said, look, I'm here for 5 years, or 6 years now, and it's not going well for me. I was really depressed, but I can do everything. And I took my shirt, I took a chair here, a chair there, and I did a split. And he was in his office, and he go, Karin, bring me Bloodsport. With his big tongue like that, a funny guy. He made me what I am today. That first movie gave me the chance to succeed.
I got called in for 2 big movies. One was Rambo 2. One was Rocky 4. The character was Ivan Drago, and there was one of those cattle calls, 5,000 people. One of those typical stories. I mean, it was a big line of guys, all big guys. I didn't even know what the movie was. They took one look at me and said, how tall are you? I said, 6'5", too tall. Next. But then I realized it was a Rocky movie. So I said, this is not, I don't think such a bad idea to pursue this. So I got a friend of mine, a photographer, who took some photos of me in boxing gear. And then I sent that off. A few months later, I was here in London actually, somebody called me from Paramount. Stallone wants to meet you, we want to fly you to LA. And that's when he explained to me it was, his opponent, a Russian fighter. And we took some Polaroids, and he said, you got to gain some weight, Dolph. There was a final screen test when there was me and 2 other Russian guys left. And I'm there in my boxing trunks going, shit, this is really the big time. If I screw this up, this is it. So there were 2 other Russians, and they were yelling and screaming, and I was doing a bit of Clint. Yeah, it was a bit of a Clint, just standing there, just speaking very slowly and not moving too much. And it was pretty effective. So I think next day Sly called me, and I had the role.
2 territories about the movie, France and Malaysia. The movie hit in both countries #1. And I told them I'm gonna come to promote the movie, and I did. We did like demonstration, karate stuff. And me, I'm honest, on TV, I didn't know about promotion. So I said, I can do a better movie, it's a low budget. And Menachem called me on the phone, he said, idiot! You're not supposed to tell the people, you're supposed to tell this great movie, it cost a fortune, we shot for 6 months, I don't understand the promotion. And sorry, man, I was in New York, I didn't understand anything.
I went from this, shy Swedish kid and nobody knew to somebody who had to go on talk shows and being asked, how do you feel about, the political situation with Russia and President Gorbachev, how do you feel about what he's doing now? And it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, it was like, I'm still the same guy who was hitting the bag 5 months ago, After I did Rocky 4, I was just lost, and it was like The world just went nuts because I was, world famous, and suddenly I was making a lot of money, and I was just a kid, 27-year-old kid.
I was too young. I was 20 or 22, 26. I don't know. I was too young. I was a kid. When you get your first movie and it started to roll, to go for it, then I didn't let go with the rope. I was cranking 2 to 3 movies a year. How can you do that? I mean, 2, 3 movies. It was like a factory. So I made those movies like that for 10 years. When one movie was finished, they were expecting me for a promotion. So I go promotion back to the movie. Thank God I was a beast with my health.
Those next 4 or 5 years was like nuts. I mean, I made a couple of good movies, but also it was very hard to sort of find your own identity and keep your integrity in that world.
My dream was, since I was young, I wanted to be in the film. Then when I reached a certain level, it was a big pay salary, I didn't say, but okay, now I'm on the top, I've got the best hotel and this and this and that, but what am I doing? What am I doing? And then that guy came to my life. I didn't ask for him. He's like the Scorsese of Asia, Ringo Lam. And he told me what's the movie about. He did a film with me called In Hell. I play a guy who's like on the ground, So it was hard for me to change after so many movies to do a guy who's gonna get kicked and slapped and spin on it for 2 hours. And that helped me to become a better, what we call actor.
It depends on who the people are who come up to me. For instance, we're in London now, and I go running in Hyde Park in the morning. Last week I'm up there, and this detachment of the Queen's Cavalry come by. Sure as hell, the guys go, I must break you, and if he dies, and all this stuff. And these are young kids, right? 20-year-old kids, and I don't even know how they recognize me because I've got long hair, but obviously these movies, they do hit a nerve with, especially young males.
My fans are coming to me, they always talk about, you believe or not, Double Impact, Kickboxer, Bloodsport. They want to see me in those movies, because I did such an impact there. It's like when James Bond did Sean Connery, took him maybe how many years to stay away and to come back with a Steven Spielberg as grandpa, and now he's back as a sexy guy. But you never know in the business.
What's happening now is, I'm married, I got 2 kids, 2 daughters, beautiful daughters, but live in Marbella, Spain. I'm doing okay, actually. I've calmed down a little bit. Still working out, I got a little bit of few muscles left. The big thing in my career right now is directing, which is satisfying, and it kind of takes me to another level. My production company is Thor Pictures. Thor, the god of war.
I'm still dreaming. We're gonna make the biggest martial art movie ever. I like it. You can see your hand on the camera. Good.
Hey, Lisa here. Okay, so a lot goes on behind the scenes while making a movie, and sometimes things get out of hand. While filming Rocky IV, Dolph Lundgren punched Stallone's chest so hard his heart slammed against his breastbone, causing it to swell, and his blood pressure shot to over 200. Filming was halted as Stallone was flown into intensive care for 8 days. If you like my shirt, you can get one for yourself in the link in the description.